Hello, hello, wherever you are in the world. This is Agnes van Rhijn, the founder of Success on Your Own Terms, as well as the founder of the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. Today, I am delighted to introduce to you Michelle Spalding. Michelle is a savvy entrepreneur, soulful business coach, and fairy godmother to many. Her enthusiasm and success in helping individuals create a business that supports the life they want is how she became known as Fairy Godmother. Michelle created a business that supports her in following her passions for adventure, travel, and fun, all of which she frequently indulges in, even during normal business hours. Her wish is to help you blend inspiration, creativity, passion, and adventure to create the life of your dreams. Today, she will be sharing some of her magic with us, the same magic she uses to help her client blaze a trail of freedom by doing what they love and delegating the rest. Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, Michelle. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thanks so much for having me. It is an honor to be on your show.
I am so delighted to have you. We have been talking a little bit before, and we do have a lot of things in common.
Yes.
So I'm really delighted to have this conversation with you. So tell us a bit more about who you are and what your dream was and how you made it come true.
Well, I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years, and in one particular company that I own, I started that after I was working for an attorney for more than 10 years. And I had this idea at the firm on how I thought we could attract more business, how we could help keep our clients happier, and create a new stream of income. And I worked for an attorney who was an entrepreneur. Not all attorneys are. There's a big difference there, but he was. So I went in and I presented this idea to him. And I had done months of research and put it all together. And when I went into his office, I'd known him for 10 years. I mean, we'd been to dinner together. We'd hung out together. I didn't think that it would take less than a minute for him to say, no, that's a stupid idea. I thought he would give me a little more, but anyways, so fast forward, I couldn't let that idea go. I thought it was viable. I wanted to make it happen. And I gave him 3 months notice a few weeks later and started my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And in starting that business, I didn't realize when you start your own business, you also kind of go down this crazy self-help spiritual journey, I think all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, that was where things really changed. And I will tell you, I grew immensely. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago when I started that business, for sure. But what I learned, or one of the biggest lessons that I learned, kind of the hard way, was that I couldn't do it all myself. Mm-hmm. I wasn't Superwoman. I didn't want to be Superwoman. I was tired. I went from working, 60 hours a week for an attorney to working 60, 80 hours a week for myself, and was beginning to really not even like that person anymore that I was working for, but I couldn't even get rid of her. I couldn't quit, and she was with me every minute of the day. So that was how that was the dream I had. And unfortunately, to have my own business, to have this freedom, and it wasn't the dream I thought that I was going to create. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So to bounce back immediately on that point, what do you see as the reason that there was this discrepancy between what you thought it would be and what it ended up to be? What did not work in the process?
Well, I think partly my naivety, that I thought that I didn't judge personally how long I thought things would take. When I started my business, I took it as, I'm just going to do this particular part of the business. I forgot and didn't even think to take into consideration there's so much other crap, if you will, that you have to do, right? It's more than just the task of whatever your business is, whether it's owning a coffee shop, or in my particular case, it was a consulting business. And so you have the task of working with the clients, but then you have to market your business. You have to do the books. You got to clean the office, because you got to update. Nowadays you have to update social media and all of this other places and things that you have to do for your business. and you have to do the business. And so I didn't take that into consideration. I didn't even think about it. And I'll be honest with you, I thought, well, that's okay. I can do it anyways, right? And I was exhausted. Exactly. Yeah, I was going to be Wonder Woman, Superman, all that rolled into one, and it like I said, it sucked the life out of me. It totally did.
How long did it take to take your life out of you?
Well, it's funny because our company, it took me a while to like figure out what was wrong. The first thing that I realized is that we had gone from working in my home to renting an office suite. And one of the reasons that I wanted to leave the firm was I wanted some flexibility. I was not able to go have lunch with my kids. They were much younger then. I wasn't able to, it was a big ordeal to even take time off to take them to the pediatrician or anything like that. So we had outgrown my home and we had moved into an office suite. And I thought that was like the natural progression of what happens next in a business, right? Well, as we moved into this office suite, I realized I can't leave the office either. My team relied so heavily upon my presence that I didn't have the freedom that I needed to have the life outside of work. So I had all of this stuff to do and no time to do it and no freedom that I thought that I would have when I had a business. So it took me about a year and a half, 2 years, because my number one focus at that time was on growing the business, and kind of reaching those milestones that I think society sets for you as an entrepreneur. And when I realized that this was not working for me, the most important thing I realized was I had the power to change it. When I worked at the law firm, I couldn't do anything except leave the firm to make something different happen in my life. But this was my business, and I had the power to make the different decisions. So the number one thing I did was I told my team, we're closing down the office. You're going to work at home. And we figured out a way to do things that you couldn't do 9 years ago working from home. Our telephone system, the way that we handled the business, the way that we kept up with clients and our team, we had to invent most of that. But it became fun. That's when it started becoming fun, because I realized this was the key to me getting what I wanted.
What I love with what you're describing is that quite often when I'm interviewing women, when they come to the conclusion that something is not working, it quite often is the business side is not working. But I know, we do similar type of work, that is only one side of the coin. You also have the people who know how to run a business, but lose themselves in the process. And at some point there is a wake-up call. So what was your wake-up call? When did you,
I think I remember, my kids starting to resent what I was doing. They were spending, where's mom? Or we're hanging out at mom's office. And at first it was kind of cool to hang out at mom's office. And then it became not so much fun to hang out at mom's office. What's that?
How old were they?
6 and 10. Yeah. And so in the beginning it was kind of cool, but after a while it was, I saw that. And then I also saw that many of the friends that I had, I wasn't able to spend time with them anymore either. And, the number one reason that I thought I wanted a business was I wanted to have control of my time.
Exactly.
And I had control of it, but I didn't use it the way that I wanted to. And like I said, the most powerful thing for me was realizing I can fix this. I have the power to fix this. And I don't have to conform to the business standards, if you will, that society set forth for us of like I said, having the office and, maybe growing the office and having more people. No, I decided we're all working from home. That's it. Flip-flops, t-shirts, and now I have an amazing team of women that work with me from other parts of the country that wouldn't be able to do that if we'd have kept that office. So it's just been this crazy huge blessing, but it was a tough lesson. It was a tough lesson.
I did the same. I started without office 2 years, I think I was more or less, no, 1.5 year.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2 years I had a business and I stopped.
Yeah.
An office, sorry, not a
Yeah.
business, the office. And I did the same. I went back home and my assistant was working from her own home as well at the other side of Paris, etc. And as you say, with technology, etc., it's so easy now to work together, to collaborate.
Yeah. You know, did you find the same thing? And I have to ask you, I know you're interviewing me, but I still have to ask you, did you find that you felt like it was the next thing for you to do to get the office in order to look successful?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, I was at that time, well, I am still, but I'm moving to London next week, but I was in Paris working with people there. And I even went to the extent that because my clients then were corporate executives, etc., I took an office in front of Chanel. I mean,
oh wow,
it was a standard.
yeah, nice address.
And in fact, it wasn't needed. And it wasn't needed.
Yeah.
On top of it, my clients weren't that often coming to me. I was more often going to them anyway. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And for me, what that also did was that opened it up for me once I realized that I could do this from home and have a little more freedom in my day, that what opened up hugely for me was that my client base now didn't have to be geographically in my own city. Since there were like no boundaries anymore. So we went from working in one city with people to working in 16 different states because there were no boundaries. There were no boundaries.
Yeah, I have the same with working international. So from the moment on you discovered you had a choice, what is it? So you made those changes for the office and the people working remotely. What else did you change?
Well, I'll tell you what I did to kind of get to that change where I started looking at what I didn't like and what I did like was I sat down and I figured out I wanted to run a business. I didn't want to be the one doing everything in the business. I didn't want to be in a location that I didn't like. So I basically took a piece of paper and wrote down all the things that I wanted to do to run the business and to grow the business. And then I wrote down all the other stuff that has to be done. And I started figuring out, while today I might be the only one that could do certain things that were on the list of things that I needed to do that needed to be done that I didn't want to do, I had the ability to delegate or to bring someone on to start doing some of those. And maybe they were going to be multiple people. You know, it's not like finding like the one perfect assistant who will do it all or the one perfect team. It could be one person does one or two things on that list out of 10, 20, whatever the number was, and another part of it's done by someone else. And so it was kind of really just realizing that I was better at certain things than I was at other things, and being okay with letting someone else be better at something than myself.
Did you find it difficult to delegate? Because what I'm seeing quite often with my clients is that women in particular have a very hard time delegating.
Originally, yes. And now I will tell you originally, yes, because remember, this was my business. This was my baby. And if anybody could make it work, right, it was going to have to be me. Mm-hmm. And then as I stepped back and realized that A, there's only so much time in the day, B, there's other things to life than the business, and that there were only certain things that I was really great at, and there were still so many other things to do, I began to get really comfortable with delegating. And it all started with back then I did my own website. And on my website, I was so proud of it. I created it. And then later, looking forward, I found somebody to do my website, and over the years to continue to update the website. But I began with that one task, was having somebody, let me have you fix some things on my website. And when I realized all I had to do was give them the instructions, and they would then come back to me, ask questions, and it would be done. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's cool. What else could I do? What else could I let go of? But I think it was because I had that success that I continued to look for. It wasn't always easy. You've delegated to people yourself. You don't always get what you ask for.
No, that's a challenge, finding the right people.
Right. But once I got a taste of that, I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that I didn't want to work. I wanted to work smarter, and I wanted to be able to do those things that I was great at and do more of them. And I also wanted to be able to, put people to work. For me, like I have 10 women that work for me. Most of them are moms. They get to work from home, be home with their kids when their kids come home from school, pick them up on sick days, make cookies, whatever. They get something that I didn't have when I worked at the firm. And so for me, that was like another really cool part, was putting people to work to give them the taste of freedom that I was seeking as well.
So what is it that you're doing for your clients? Who are your clients to start with?
My clients are what I call soulful entrepreneurs. They are people with a gift, a passion, something that really feeds their soul, and they're looking to share that with the world, but they're getting stuck with trying to keep up with social media, trying to write all those blog posts that they have to write, trying to update their website, get clients, work with clients, and all of that stuff that it takes. And so those are the people that I love to work with, those that need help, kind of, if you will, building their platform, and aren't sure where to go, what to do, how to get it all done, because like me, they're really great at certain things, but all that other stuff they're not so great at. Mm-hmm. So it's really, those are my favorites. And people that want to change the world.
Yeah. So when they work with you, are mm-hmm. they just starting their business, or have they already experienced the pain of it not working the way they want?
Most of the time they've experienced that pain. And I think that's why we resonate so closely together, because they've been through that same pain that I went through 8 or 9 years ago. And they're okay with not being able to do it all, but they don't know what to do next.
Mm-hmm. And so, if I remember what you said earlier on, you work in the US only, or can people come to you from other places?
In my coaching and consulting business, I work with people really in other parts of I've got a couple people that I've worked with in other parts of the country. Everything that I do is transferable to other places. Mm-hmm. Now with technology, it's global. I mean, our world has gotten so small. I talk to people like you that I wouldn't have met before until this technology existed that we have and that we all just access on a regular basis. The people that I think that I most resonate with and that I most love to work with are those that are ready for change.
Yeah.
Are ready for change,
Yeah. I have reached that point as well. And as usual, because we've been through it ourselves, I have been one of those persons for many years. I was buying all the programs, all the coachings, but I wasn't ready to do the work. So I didn't get the results. And it was not about the programs or the coaching. It was about me. And it does make such a big difference when people are ready. It's great.
Things almost seem to happen overnight. You ever hear of that, like, overnight success, but it took them 20 years to get there?
Exactly.
And I think that's what it is. It's that when you've planted so many seeds and you've worked so hard and at figuring out what you want, when you finally say, okay, I'm ready to make it happens like that. It seems like on the outside, but you and I both know it's been a long journey.
Definitely. And so what do you see as the biggest challenges your clients are facing?
I would have to say probably the same one that I did, that you and I both spoke about, that you did, and that is trying to do it all, but at the same time, realizing, the biggest challenge that they're facing, I think it's just trying to do it all, and then getting frustrated by not making the success or the progress that they want to make in their business. And the other part of that is not knowing what to do to make that change. And as you mentioned, buying products, taking webinars or seminars, but not, that doesn't give them the results. What they need is somebody to kind of help support them in getting, the right action plan for their business and the right team members for their business to implement those action plans.
Absolutely. And so what tips would you give to people who are at that point where, okay, it's not working the way they want?
Yeah.
What would you give as a tip or tips?
The number one thing that I think would be to just allow yourself to be okay with that. Don't resist it. Don't fight it. Remember, you're not alone. I mean, we've both been there, and there's thousands and thousands of others who have been there before. But at the same time, find somebody who has been there before, whether it's a coach, a mentor, a friend, a colleague, a trusted advisor, or even somebody that, has a book that you could read that will give you that little bit of inspiration and that little motivation, that little nudge, so that you can continue. Because, so many people, especially women, I think, have a gift that they want to share with the world. And the world needs that. But the world doesn't get that gift from them because they're too busy doing so many other things. So it's okay,
And to bounce back on something that the listeners have not heard, it was before the recording, the actual interview, the discussion we had about daring ask for help.
Yeah. For me, it was, I was afraid to ask for help. This was my business. This was something I started. This was not something everybody in my family wanted or thought was a great idea. So I couldn't turn to my family. My friends didn't get, most of them, what I was doing because they weren't entrepreneurs. So I was afraid to ask for help. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that I even knew where to start. I mean, who do you ask for help when you kind of feel like you're stuck on this wheel, right? You just got to keep going. You don't have time to ask. So for me, it was becoming okay with asking for help and stopping and looking for that help, and not being ashamed anymore. Saying to people that I didn't even know, you have an amazing business. Can you give me some advice? Can you put me in front of your mentor? Can you coach me? Can you help me? And then allowing it to come in and listen to them, and not getting stuck and not beating myself up for not doing it right, but taking their advice and moving forward.
Not beating yourself up. That's a big one as well. Yeah.
Why do we do that as women? I think we are so weird. My sweetheart, he doesn't do that. He's just like, oh, that didn't work. Throw it away and start over. Me,
yeah. It's not me. It's not you. It's women in general. There are exceptions, of course, but yeah. So today, what is the how will I say that? What is your next challenge? What are you up to?
My next challenge. Oh, that's a good question. My next challenge, I will tell you that what I'm really passionate about is probably helping those people that were like me to be okay with getting help and support. So my next challenge would be getting in front of more people, and becoming, just being really vulnerable and letting them know that, creating a business and having your own business is a dream and a goal of many people, but it's not always pretty. It's messy. It can get really messy, and not getting the help that you need can actually slow you down. I think sometimes we think that it will. We'll be taking in someone else's information, and it won't be our idea. It won't be our business anymore. But as a challenge for myself, I think it would be to just be more open about this very topic.
Mm-hmm.
That we may look like we have it all together online, on our business cards and at meetings, but on the inside, I'm still scared sometimes. I still worry. I have payroll to meet. I mean, what's going to happen next? And just being okay with that. Being okay with that.
I think fear will always be part of the game, and the key is to move forward with the fear.
Yeah.
So basically, let it fuel you instead of paralyzing you.
Yeah.
That does make a big difference.
And reaching out when you see a colleague or a friend that is in that place of fear, and maybe you hold their hand, send them a note, let them know you're there for them. You're there for them. Yeah. Yeah.
So before I forget, where can people find you?
That's real easy. My website is my name, michellespalding.com. It's Michelle with 2 L's, Spalding with no U, Spalding.com. And I'm always available there. Contact info, all kind of goodies there.
Okay, I was just about to joke that you don't need to spell your name. I always have to spell my name. But
yeah.
You started spelling your name.
It's a habit that I've gotten into because there's multiple ways to spell Michelle, and everybody in the U.S. wants to put a U in Spalding. So
oh, funny. Yeah,
I know. See?
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
why not? Do you have any particular offer or whatever currently?
I do. After getting a lot of questions from people over the years and a lot of people coming to me and saying, okay, that's nice, that worked for you, but it didn't work for me as far as hiring an assistant and finding a virtual assistant and trusting a virtual assistant and letting go of things so that your virtual assistant can do things. I put together an ebook, and it's called and you can find it at dowhatyoulove.delegatetherest.com. And it's the title of it, and it's something that I'm hugely passionate about, in that finding those people and letting go of, figuring out what your highest and greatest talent is, letting go of some of those other things, and sometimes it's just a baby step. One thing, like I said earlier with my website, kind of fueled the passion that I have for finding other things that I can delegate, so that I have, and that anybody listening has more time to spend on their greatness, what makes them special, what makes them unique.
Super fascinating.
Thank you.
Michelle, thank you so much. I have enjoyed this conversation, and I definitely think that a lot of people can benefit from working with you and listen to this interview and be inspired by it. For the listeners, I do not know yet who the next guest is. Normally I'm announcing the next guest, but with the summer period, it's a little bit complicated now to find the right slots to fit in the interviews. So, the next interview will be the surprise of the day, or the surprise of next week. As usual, Michelle's interview will be available on my website, www.anyesvanrhijn.com, ANYESVANRHIJN.com. Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you, Michelle. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.